What's up guys, my name's Lottie and I'm hoping you're going to come and join me on what's been a very adventurous month travelling Europe by myself. I'm an Erasmus student in Munich and I've got 3 months off from university right now, so I thought I'd utilise them the best way possible. I'm travelling Europe for a month solo. I started 2 weeks ago in Austria, now I'm in Poland, and tomorrow I go on to Prague. So let's take it back to 2 weeks ago when I started in Austria. So before we do that, I thought I'd actually just give you a little preamble to why this is all happening. So I love to travel, and I always have done. I've got 3 months off from university right now, that's just how it works in Germany, and I've been wanting to use it somehow to travel somewhere I didn't really mind. And I had planned to go to India for a month, but then unfortunately the person I was travelling with, that fell through. And then I was supposed to be going to Israel and Jordan for a month, but then that fell through also because of the person I was travelling with. So I decided I would do it by myself, which I've never done before, and was pretty daunting because historically I've not loved my own company. I'm very much a social person, I love being with people. But it's been a challenge I really enjoyed. To begin with, in Austria, just so that you know I'm not lying to you, I actually had a friend come and travel with me for the first week. Another Erasmus friend from Munich, his name's Tristan, and yeah, he basically motivated me to actually press book and start this whole trip. So thank you, Tristan.
As we're both living in Munich right now on our study abroad years at university, we left from Munich Central Station, taking 2 trains over to Hallstatt. I was leaving for 2 months, so the journey out of Munich felt a little sad for sure, but I was so excited to start my travels finally after months of planning. This is the fab Aussie Tristan.
Servus.
Trains in Germany and Austria have such beautiful views over the countryside, and we were so lucky that the sun was still rising over the mountains. The train route goes through the Salzkammer Gut region of Austria, which is known for its postcard picture scenery, and it absolutely did not disappoint. Having seen pictures of Hallstatt in Vogue, Tatler, and all of the must-travel-to lists online, it was so exciting starting to see the bluey-green water of the lakes appearing and the quaint little Austrian villages. The train arrives opposite to Hallstatt, so you have to take this cute ferry over the lake to the town. The views from the lake were incredible, and you could really sense the size of the mountains and the tiny 1 kilometre long lakeside town of Hallstatt. Once on land, we made our way to the market square, which is a higgledy-piggledy mix of little shops and restaurants in these really vibrant colours. You start to realise how small Hallstatt is when a walk around the main square takes about 30 seconds, and all the roads in Hallstatt lead back to it. We took the funicular up to Rudy's Point restaurant and the UNESCO lookout. The viewpoint hangs out over the cliff with Hallstatt below and amazing views of the lake and snowy mountains around. After that, we headed to St. Michael's Chapel and walked around the cemetery that looks out over the lake and mountains. Inside the chapel is the Hallstatt bone collection of painted human skulls. For dinner, we tried some Hallstatt beers that were delish. I had a veggie pizza and Tristan tried a traditional Hallstatt smoked white fish. We got back on the Stephanie ferry and had our final look at the beautiful Hallstatt. That's one item off the bucket list. And now, on to Vienna. We took the train back to Attnang-Puchheim, where we had a 2-hour layover that seemed to be the longest 2 hours of our lives.
9:30, the first day of travelling.
What?
Already exhausted.
What?
Finally, the train came, and after another 2 hours, we arrived into Vienna at midnight. We started off the morning walking up St. Stephen's Cathedral's South Tower for this awesome panoramic view over Vienna city. Around the corner was the Mozart's House Museum, which, as the title suggests, is where Mozart lived and wrote music from in Vienna. This piece was my favourite part of the exhibition, playing some of Mozart's most famous pieces, accompanied by some very trippy visuals. Tristan was hungry as ever, so we stopped for lunch and shared a platter of 5 scrummy Italian dishes before heading into the Vienna State Opera House. You're supposed to pay to be a part of a guided tour, but somehow Tristan and I ended up tagging along to a group for free and were taken on a brilliant tour on this vast Renaissance building. We actually got to go backstage too and saw the stage crew and builders constructing the set of that night's performance, Madame Butterfly. They have a new show playing every single night, so it's some serious hands-on work during the day, getting the stage prepared. We got taken through the audience's lounging rooms, which are all intricately sculptured and carved with gold trimmings and Grecian paintings. This room had sculptures of some of the most famous composers that played there. This was Emperor Franz Joseph's private room to be enjoyed in the intermissions and had a door that led straight to the royal box. Just as we were leaving, we were also allowed a sneak peek at the finished set of Madame Butterfly.
That's a shame, I now really want to go and see it.
The lovely thing about travelling with no strict checklist is that you can stumble across some beautiful places, very accidentally. Tristan and I came across a public park, in the corner of which we spotted this vast Art Deco greenhouse, and it turned out it was a restaurant and cocktail bar. Anyone who knows me knows that I love me some plants and Art Deco architecture, so this was definitely my happy place. Plus, they do pint-sized Aperol spritzers, so what's not to love? Next up was the Vienna State Library. I cannot begin to describe the size and the beauty of this place. The ceiling looked like the Sistine Chapel, and the floor-to-ceiling bookcases stretched the whole length of this room. You can imagine getting quite happily lost in there with a book in hand. We ticked 3 sites off the bucket list, seeing the Hofburg Imperial Palace of the Habsburg Empire, St. Michael's Church, and the LOOSHAUS, which was designed by Adolf Loos and represents Viennese modernism, apparently. I just thought it looks nice and sparkly. I stumbled across Café des Mels, which is a famous pastry shop and chocolaterie established in 1786. They supposedly have one of the best Sachertorts, which is a typical chocolate cake of Vienna. But a whole cake costs about €30, so for that price they better taste bloomin' life-changing. Café Central has a 130-year history, opening in 1876. It has interesting old architecture, a live pianist, and delicious Viennese delicacies. I'm happy to say it actually lived up to the hype. As a law student, Tristan was excited to start off the day at the Palace of Justice. Just the name is impressive and the insides don't disappoint. It is the seat of the Supreme Court of Austria, the Higher Regional Court of Vienna, and the Regional Court for Civil Matters Vienna, and the General Prosecution and the Supreme Public Prosecutor for Vienna. I won't lie, I didn't quite realise it was that important while I was having a little photo shoot on the stairs. A random man came up to me and asked me if I was a tourist. Thinking I was about to be told off, I shyly replied yes, only for him to tell me that there is actually a cafe on the top floor with beautiful views. Safe to say he was correct, the view was pretty damn good. The Natural History Museum and the Museum of Fine Arts opposite were commissioned by Emperor Franz Joseph, which might explain why they're just so impressive. Even if you are not interested in natural history, for sure check out this museum. The inside was a floor-to-ceiling artwork with figures and statues representing progress in the field of natural sciences and the power of nature. Tristan's favourite stop by far was the LeopoldMuseum. Its concrete block appearance makes it stick out like a sore thumb amongst the ornately decorated buildings of Vienna, but somehow it adds to its charm. It houses one of the largest collections of modern Austrian art, including some of Tristan and I's favourite artists, Egon Schiele, Gustav Klimt and Oskar Kokoschka. The view from this window I thought beautifully captured how Vienna itself is honestly like a piece of art. Tristan's favourite piece from the collection was this self-portrait by Schiele, and my favourite was by Lembrück. I thought she looked so powerfully promiscuous leaning over the table like that. Although we didn't get to see it, the LeopoldMuseum at night sometimes gets lit up with these amazing light displays. We then walked to the other side of Vienna to the Belvedere Palace. The inside is an immense Baroque combination of sculptures and paintings that you could just get lost in. But I was most excited about the Gustav Klimt painting, The Kiss. It is one of my mum's favourite paintings and weirdly appeared in every single European city I travelled to on this adventure. The Belvedere actually showcases the greatest collection of Austrian art, dating from the Middle Ages to the present day. I thought it combined modern art with the old Baroque interior in a really cool way. By the time we got outside, the sun had set and Vienna twinkled in the distance, so it was time for some dinner and a well-earned rest. Today we spent almost entirely wandering around the 186-hectare World Heritage Site of the Schönbrunn Palace. The Rococo Palace has 1,441 rooms and was the main summer residence for the Habsburg Empire. We had a tour through the staterooms and then were met by a freak hail and snowstorm as we walked up to the gloriette built for Empress Maria Theresa.
Oh, that's getting hard! Oh, it's in your mouth!
It has a stunning view of Schönbrunn Palace below and Vienna in the distance. There was a cafe inside the gloriette, and Tristan and I were lucky enough to nab a seat by the window so we could stare at that yummy view whilst eating some even yummier Viennese delicacies. Next up was the apple strudel tasting show, where a professional pastry chef hand-bakes an original Viennese apple strudel in the demonstration bakery in Schönbrunn Palace's cafe residence. We traipsed over to the Sigmund Freud Museum at Berggasse 13, the site of his original residence and where he saw his patients for psychoanalysis. As a beautiful end to the day, and with our little adventure in Vienna coming to a close, the sunset was just insane over the river, and felt like a beautiful little send-off. If you liked this, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for next week's episode following me as I start solo travelling in Poland. Much love.